Hello, welcome back to Benny's Code, and today we are going to do part 3 of how to create a weather app with React and an API. Today we are going to be using a geolocator to automatically fetch the weather for the current location. So wherever you are located, it will get the browser's location or your IP address and give you the weather for your location automatically. And then also we will be styling this so it's not just a straight line, and we'll make it look a little better with CSS. Alright, let's get right into it. So let's hop back over to our code, and I already have my server running, so if you don't remember, it is npm start to get that running. And awesome, yeah, so to start this off, I think I'm going to be making a function outside of the use effect, and we will be or the use effect will be calling that function instead of having it all in the use effect. So let's pop a couple new lines, and right here we can write a function. And we'll call it get weather, but you can call it whatever you want. And yeah, we're not going to be taking anything in, so we can open that up. And let's start it off with a safety statement. So we are going to say if the geolocation doesn't work or we don't have it, we'll just console log something. So if not navigator dot geolocation, just like that. And this is automatically built into React, so we don't need to download anything special. We'll open that up and console log does not work, something like that. Let's put this in quotes, actually. That is a mistake. And close that off with a semicolon. And let's open up an else statement. So if it does exist, then we'll run our geolocator. Alright, so we are going to be taking, let's first actually just start writing the navigator. Navigator dot geolocation dot get current position. So this is going to take in a position, just like that. Open this up, and here's where we can put all of our stuff. So where do we have this? So yeah, from our use effect, we're just going to cut everything out of here. Command X or Control X, and so that way we'll have nothing in the use effect, and we're just going to put it right inside of this geolocator. And now we have to switch some stuff up. So our so we'll be working with our URL first. So currently we have the hard-coded lat and long that we have up here, but we don't want to use that. We want to use what we're getting as this position. So how we can do that is by typing in here, or removing our variables here, and typing in position dot chords dot latitude, just like that. And we can do the same exact thing for our longitude. So get rid of our variable and position coordinates longitude. That just auto-filled for me, but yeah, it's the same thing, but longitude. Awesome. So now that we have that, our API key will be the same, everything else will be the same, but it will just be using a different geolocator. And if I were to send this to somebody else and they load this exact code up, it will be a different location and they'll get different data. Alright, awesome. Now we have the fetch going to the API, .then, all of this stuff should be good and the same. And awesome. So now all we have to do now now we are no longer using these variables, so we can actually delete these just like that, clear that up a little bit, and awesome. So now this function will never be called until we put it into the use effect. So it's going to work the same way in that every time the page loads or refreshes, we'll just call this function. So instead of it actually being in here, we can just call it. So get weather, just like that. And that will run it every time it loads. Awesome. Alright, so now that we have all the code set up, we just have to install the React position thing, or geolocator. So I may have misspoken. It does come with React, it's built in, but we do have to install it as a package. So if you have your server running, just Control C in the terminal, that should shut it down. And then we can get to this, where we can put in commands. So let's go npm install, and I'm going to paste it in here. There we go. And it is react dash hook dash geolocation. So if we click enter to that, it should not take too long. Okay, awesome, that was super quick. And now to verify that it is downloaded, we can go into our package.json or package.json file, and it should be right here, more or less to the top. For me, it's on line 11, but it should be somewhere in this file. And React hook geolocation. Okay, awesome. So that means we have it. So now I can use it automatically when we type in navigator geolocation. And awesome. So I think that is it. And we can now npm start to check it out to make sure it's working. And if we switch back over to our browser, we can now see that it is loading. Okay, awesome. So now that we have this in, it's awesome. This is my current weather at my location. I would, if you want to play around with it, you could console log those positions that we used in the URL, like position.chords.latitude and longitude, to check them out. But yeah, awesome. We have our correct weather report. And if you are not getting this, there is most likely going to be a permissions or location access denied or something. So if it just says loading and it's not showing up anything, none of the icons or anything, to prevent this, we can click on this little globe icon up here, and you can reset permissions to ask, or you can go to site settings and make sure this here, this location on localhost 3000 is set to allow or ask by default. But if for some reason your browser still won't allow you to click allow, you might need to go into your system in preference on your computer and just make sure this browser that you're using has access to the location. So it might be restricted. You just gotta, probably put your password in and allow your browser to get your location. But that, you should be good on that. You might need to just have, like, if you load this, it'll probably just be a pop-up and you can click allow. But yeah, awesome. So now that we have all this data, we can start styling it and hop right into the CSS. Alright, so now that we are back into our code, we can start messing around with the CSS. I'm just going to move this terminal down, and awesome. Okay, so around this whole return in our main file here, I'm going to put a class name on this div that's covering everything. Class name, let's put container, and that should be good. And now we can go into our app.css, and this stuff we can I think we can delete the majority of this. However, I'm not going to. If you want to, you should be good deleting all of this. But I'm just gonna hop down to the bottom, open up some new lines, and type in that class name. So container, open this up, and we are just gonna put a display flex, justify content. Let's put space in between, so that way there's a little bit of room between each one. Space between, and then also we want it to be centered, so justify content center, just like that. Okay, that should be good on our container. So if we hop back over here, now we can see it's kind of messed up. So we'll have to put each one of those into a container, make it line up, but at least now they're in a straight line across, and yeah, this should be good. Alright, yeah, so let's go back over to the code, and what's next? We can, now that we have, okay, so we have the container here, let's move over to our daily weather for each icon. And here we're going to want to put another div. Okay, so we have this div. Let's give this a class name of class name container, so that way it will follow those same guidelines that we just gave the other container. And open up a new line, and let's put another div. And open that up and wrap everything inside of this. Let's just format this properly, just like that. And now let's give this another class name. What should we name this? Let's do day, or weather day. Let's just do day. Alright, so now we have day on there. We can start styling that. So let's save this and go back to our CSS and target a day. So dot day to select the class name. Open up those curly brackets. Let's also display flex, align items. Let's make them all center, just like that. And then here we want to change the direction. So currently the display flex automatically goes from left to right, but we want to change that and go flex direction column. And let's also give it a border, so that way we can see each day individually a little better. So border, let's give it 1 pixel and solid gray for a easy color. Let's also give it a width of 8M. Ooh, whoops. And also feel free to play around with this to make it look like whatever you want. I'm just gonna give it more or less shape here. Alright, now let's save that. And if we go back to the browser, now it's looking a little bit better. It's got a border to it. It's got a little bit of a shape. Awesome. However, these weather, the actual temperatures are not inside of it, and we will fix that in a second. Alright, so what's the next thing? We can, what should we add next? We can go back to our daily weather, and we can add, we got the day, now we can add styling on another div. So let's add another div around these temperatures. So if we pop a new line right there and go div, just put another div. Wrap, format these. Alright, awesome. Now let's give this a class name as well. Let's go temp dash container, just like that. Okay, awesome. And we'll also give each actual temperature a class name as well. And we shall do temp, this is the high, so we'll do temp high, and copy this, copy, put it in this one as well, but let's make this one low. Awesome. Okay, so now that we have that, we can go back into our app.css and let's do a temp container class. That is what we named it, right? Temp container, yeah. Okay, awesome. So dot temp dash container, so that way we get that class name, and let's give this a display flex so that way it goes across opposed to just down. I think that's all we'll do with the container for now, but let's do another dot temp dash high. Open this up, and for the high, let's do a padding of 0.3 m or rem, I think might be better, just like that. And now let's give it a color of, let's just say black. Should be more or less simple. And let's copy this down and change it to low. And the only thing different I'm going to do with this is change the color to gray, just to try to give a difference between the two. And okay, awesome. Let's see how that looks. Swap back over. Okay, that's looking a little nicer. It still looks a little weird, but it's lining up great. One thing that's annoying me is this weather here should be on top. So if we go, and also, yeah, let's give these a hover animation. Same with this. So move this weather up here and give these a hover option. Alright, go back to our code. And in our weather, we can move this. Actually, you know what? Let's just delete this since we already have the first H1 in the app.js. We can just remove this out of here to clear things up a little bit. And now let's give the whole container here a hover animation. Or should we, yeah, no, let's do it on each individual day so that way the whole thing doesn't move. So if we go pop another line right underneath day, we can do dot day colon hover. And that will let it know that we only want this styling if our mouse actually hovers over it. So we can do a background color of let's say light gray. Definitely feel free to change the coloring and whatnot. Width, let's make it a little bigger. What do we want? A width of, let's say, it was 8 before, let's do 16. That might be a little too much, but again, feel free to change it up. And then height, let's do height 22m and see how that looks. Alright, so now if we save that, go back over, and awesome. Okay, so that weather's gone. And now you'll notice if you hover your mouse over it, they'll get bigger. Awesome. So that's awesome. Now we might want to, yeah, so the whole border is engulfing this temperature high-low. However, it's not in there just yet. So we can, let's first give each day a little bit of margin. Yeah, just to give it a little bit of space. So if we go into the day, we can put margin down here. Let's do 1 rem. Just like that. That should be good enough. And if we switch back over, okay, awesome. Now we can still play with them. Still looks good. And yeah, now they got a little bit of space. Daily weather might not be something we want in this header here. Um, I think we can get rid of those because that looks a little funky. So if we go back to daily weather, we can get rid of this because that's being duplicated each and every time. So yeah, that's a little pointless. So now if we go back to the browser, awesome. So we have these icons up, styled a little bit, and yeah, they're looking decent. And we got the geolocation now, so whenever you change your location or whatever, it will update and give you the correct data. Awesome. Um, yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed. This has been part 3 of how to create a weather app using React and an API. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to see the next one, and also comment below on what you would like to see next in this series. Okay, awesome.